I'm not at all used to doing these sort of things.
Anyway, the other small YouTubers, and I'm going to tag them in this video to answer these questions. So all the questions will be in the description. The next YouTuber I'm going to tag is Radich, who you may remember if you've been following my channel right from the very beginning. Is my
First things first, since I like to do immersive content, I'm going to change our background to something a little bit more interesting, like one of the levels of the games I've been playing up till now. Oh yeah, that's much better. So my good friend Ben has tagged me on his channel for a Q&A, so I have to go through 7 questions and answer them. I'm not entirely sure how to kick this off, so I'm just gonna dive right into it. Question number 1. What inspired you to start making videos? Well, for starters, I always loved playing with people, share moments, share impressions, but it's gonna go a little bit deeper than that. At some point during the recent few years, I started playing my very first horror game, Amnesia: The Dark Descent, and I had to play it with a friend because obviously I wouldn't dare touch it with a 10-foot pole alone. I have to say, it's the first time I felt that alive during a game. It was unbelievable. It felt like a vivid nightmare at all times. I got sucked into the environment. I forgot everything about the real world for the moment, and my mind was just filled with the atmosphere. I felt like I was really there. I even had to pinch myself a few times to see if I was dreaming. That's the pacing of this game, of this experience. Upon finishing this game, I realized I wanted more. There's a world of horror that opened up to me, but I couldn't always get my friend to... Upon completing this game, I realized I wanted more. There was a world of horror that opened up to me. I wanted more horror. But I didn't dare playing them alone, so whenever my friend was unavailable and I wanted to play horror, I started recording or streaming them because, well, I was alone, but in a sense I felt that other people theoretically could be watching, so it felt a little bit more comforting in those regards. Plus, I was sort of speaking to myself. So that sort of gave me a little bit of extra courage to barely be able to play the games. And once again, I felt so alive. Another thing which inspired me to make videos is that in horror and immersive games, there is room for a lot of speculation. A lot. There are first impressions, and there are a lot of thoughts to share, basically. I love comparing not only reactions, but players' thoughts on what is going on in the game at each point in the game. Plus, well, for me anyway, when I'm watching someone else doing a blind playthrough, that will mean someone who has never played a game before or possibly doesn't even know what the game is about. Basically me. It sort of brings me back to playing the game for the first time. I get sort of that fresh experience over again, although I will know what's going to happen. It brings me back to a fresh experience, and I like that. So I want to be part of that. I want to provide a fresh experience from when I played. It's just that everyone who plays these sort of games are going to pick up on a lot of different things. I'm going to notice something, they might pick up on something in the story, someone else might pick up on something in the environment, which is really interesting once they point it out. So in the event of Amnesia: The Dark Descent, there is a lot to uncover. Subtle hints, clues, stories, and the plot itself. There's so much hidden there, and you have to play it a few times yourself to even start to realize how deep it really goes. Last but not least, one of my big motivation points regarding making videos, as my friend Ben stated regarding his own traveling, I also like to create memories of my own first-time impressions of immersive games that I can revisit later. It is great to want to create content for oneself, I feel, as then it feels even more rewarding. And if few people watch, it's still going to feel great to keep putting content out there. It's not going to burn you out in the same way, I feel. Question number 2. How long have you been on YouTube, and have you had other channels before? I have only had one channel, and it was created back in 2006, but for other reasons. It started with a Star Fox project, gameplay of beating various bosses, how to beat them, and I also started dumping music projects using Fruity Loops and Modplug Track, and I uploaded them to YouTube, and I still have them on my channel somewhere way back. I only recently started with horror and frequent uploads, pouring a little bit more love and effort into the channel. Question number 3. Where do you see yourself and your channel in 5 years? Well, a little bit more matured in relation to where I want to steer my channel. I'm experimenting a little bit back and forth between a different few things. For instance, I'm not sure if I should use a face cam for all my videos, contra not using a face cam, because a face can express 1,000 words in a few seconds, whereas words may not be able to express the same amount of emotion. But at the same time, for immersive games, a webcam can take away from the focus of the game. So for some series I'm using a webcam at the moment, and for others not. So I'm a little bit unsure where I want to go there. I might just experiment back and forth to see what's more preferable. Other than that, I more or less see the channel being in sort of the same place, still focusing on blind immersive playthroughs. A little bit larger community perhaps, if I'm lucky. Even more immersive content, paying more attention to detail while being interesting to watch. It's something I think I need to work on, because I'm trying to pay a lot of attention to detail in my content. I want to present as much of the game as I want, but it's not always easy to stay interesting at the same time. It can feel a little bit slow at times, I'm sure. So I want to find a way to sort of speed up. I want to do it a little bit faster, try to stay interesting, and at the same time not sacrificing anything of what the game has to offer at all. That is my priority. On the subject of plans for my channel, I'm thinking of making analytical videos of certain horror games in order to present a complete experience, and I'm also currently about to start an amnesia analytical video to cover in depth what the game has to offer. For horror games, and this game in particular, there's just so much hidden detail, and it's impossible to grasp all of it on the first or even the second playthrough. So I want to go more in depth, show places which people often overlook, things in the lore, explain things a bit more, multiple ways to solve certain puzzles, but not least go in depth in what is going on where, what has been going on there in the past, what is real, what is not real, because obviously the character is going insane. Videos which obviously are going to have a lot of spoilers, but they're sort of meant for people who have already played the game and want to learn a little bit more about them, things they might have missed, because once again, horror is a lot more about story and immersion than other games, because horror usually doesn't offer gameplay the same way, so it relies on these other elements. That's also a reason why I think it's so important to, pay attention to the detail that the games are trying to communicate to you. Playing them for what they are worth, basically. Question number 4. What message are you trying to get across with your videos? Well, horror and immersive games usually rely a lot on environmental and story and less on gameplay, as I just mentioned. I want to try giving the games the attention they deserve. That's my motto. Horror also relies on the player and viewer to create a horror in their own minds, because often you don't see what is going on. Let's take Amnesia for example. There's a lot that's happening, that has happened and is happening around you, but you don't get to see all of it, but you have to imagine it. Like, you keep hearing things but you can't see them, so the horror sort of happens in your mind. You're imagining something is up there, like a creature or an enemy of a kind, but you don't know what it looks like, so each player or viewer starts imagining what this could be. the greatest horror comes from within, and everyone creates their own image of it. And that way you get great horror, I would say. Because the greatest horror comes from within. It's like nightmares. If you're having a nightmare, everything's gonna be scary regardless, believe me. I used to have a lot of nightmares as a child. But not anymore. Ironically. So, in a stressy everyday life, everyone can use an escape from reality, I believe, something which I hope to create with immersive videos. I want to be the character in the game, dragging you in with me and focus on the environment, so that we can sort of forget about the daily life, even if just for a little bit. It's going to ease our minds more, refreshing ourselves. Question number 5. Do people from school find your channel? Well, I don't currently attend a school, and in the case of work, our workplace isn't really that big. I believe technically I'm the only full-time employee there, but I don't think they're so interested in, well, immersive horror content anyway. Besides, in my country, people usually don't prefer speaking English, they prefer speaking the native language, Norwegian. But who knows, some of them might be watching right now. Hello! Question number 6. What does your username mean? For whatever reason, fellow students would come up with this nickname for me during secondary school. It's sort of a remix, if you will, based on my original first name, which happens to be a Moroccan name. Since I have always been bad with coming up with names, I have simply stuck with this name as one of my primary online aliases, and I guess that's all it's to it. It doesn't really mean anything, so... Question number 7. Who are your favorite small YouTubers? Tag some and make them answer the same questions. Hey, sounds good, it's my turn. Alright, I'll be nice. The first YouTuber I'm going to tag is Calixander. Alex is a close friend and a horror buddy since before I was recording horror games. Plays a variety of things basically, but I think they're focusing on horror content, or the horror genre anyway, on their channel. It is also one of the few, if not the only one, I'm collaborating with at the moment. Me, Calixander, Ducky, and Mr. Raptor, as we call him, usually do games like Dead by Daylight, Damned, Dead Realm, and I'm sure we're gonna play a lot more horror games in the future. When I'm playing with Calixander and a gang, it's less about immersion and more about just having fun, having a laugh with my friends. But whenever I'm in my single player experiences, of course, it's going to be a lot more immersive. I'm alone with you, and I'm focusing a lot more on the environment. That's not as easy to, say, bring along in a game of 4 people. Tag number 2 goes to SuperHorrorBros, which are Mike and Jono, who make up an entertaining team that plays all sort of horror games. They have a pretty good dynamic, and their combined personalities make an interesting watch. There's something cool about this duo. If you're like me and you like to watch other horror playthroughs to sort of compare your impressions and reactions, then it's going to be you and that YouTuber. But here you have 2 awesome people sitting together, and you also get to hear their own back and forth about impressions and, well, talking about the game. So, if you like that sort of thing, then stick with them. Have a look. Tag number 3 goes to Miss Multiconsole. Perhaps not as small a YouTuber anymore though, but I will tag her anyway. As her channel name states, she plays on a variety of systems, be it console, Android or PC. She's a very kind and warm commentator, a trait in itself which just easily welcomes anyone visiting her channel. She uploads very frequently, so go check her out for a huge variety of gameplay. And now, here is something for a few YouTubers who have been coming to my channel recently. While we are doing a fellow YouTuber sort of thing, never before have there been so many players that are trying to start a new channel for gaming and let's plays. When first starting out, it is very hard to get noticed, so I will give a quick additional shout out to some users who are starting out. MagneticIsaac, Nyphty, Silver Jeffer 1948, oozgur, and Inutsu. I hope I pronounced those names right. If not, I'm sorry. Anyway, keep going, fellow content creators, and remember to have fun doing so, because if you are having a good time, so will your viewers. Best of luck to all of you. As for everyone else, I hope you enjoyed this video. If there is anything you would like to know about me, let me know. This little episode of horror is coming to an end, so good night.